I uploaded a video, basically stating that I've kind of had enough really of everything that's going on, and I have. It's getting ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. People can't just get on with their lives anymore, can they? You know. And Canada has actually grounded 20 US routes. Yeah, routes from Canada to the United States, etc. It's fair to say that that relationship is dead in the water. No matter what Donald Trump might be saying. Oh, we friends and all that. Is that how you treat your friends? Hmm? You tariff them. You tell them that you're going to take their country, make them the 51st state. Is that what you do? It's like everything else that's going on around the United States. And also, for me, being a Brit living here in France, and I look what's going on in the United Kingdom, and Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, giving Enoch Powell speeches. The rivers of blood next. That certainly makes me wonder what the hell is going on. Makes you wonder if you want to carry on with this madness, you know? I made this video earlier about how I kind of had enough really with it all, and I'm just sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. How horrible some people are and what they've become. And they're happy about it. When I see, watch videos, like for instance, from Park Road's Permaculture, and she pretty much said, you know, about these people, you know, I hope they can't sleep at night and stuff like that. And I was thinking to myself, well, no, these individuals, they sleep fine. They're happy with what they're doing. They don't care that they're destroying people's lives. In fact, gives them a buzz. It's who they are. They aren't the nicest people out there, are they? Let's be honest. And they ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer either. They hail it like some kind of win that Donald Trump is going to be, well, getting his new jet. Oh, it's going to save the taxpayer. Oh, not if it ends up in Donald Trump's pocket. No. $400 million gold-plated jet with its gold-plated toilet. How is that going to benefit the American people? And then, like I say about Keir Starmer, telling us that it's, well, at risk of being an island of strangers. I think you stepped over the mark there, Keir Starmer. I really do. You've dipped your toe, not that far in the past, into the Reform Party UK Limited. I think now you just dived head first. For being a party on the left centre at the very least, and now it looks like, well, it looks like it is a right-wing party. Makes you wonder, don't it? It really does make you wonder. The lengths that these people will go to try and win over those who they feel that they have lost because they weren't hard enough on immigration, even though they've deported more people than the Tories ever did. These people you're trying to win back, they're lost. You're never going to win them back until they feel the bite and start suffering themselves. And their families are going to be worse off. You know, until that happens, these people are not going to. They're not going to return to the Labour Party. So I could see what's happening. I might be wrong, you know, just my opinion. Looks like to me that the Labour Party is just alienating more of their base. They've certainly alienated me with what's been said recently. Feels wrong, because it is wrong. just fuels more hate, creates more of a divide, and against those who are actually propping up the country. Like I say, what's going on in the United States as well, propping up the country. That's what immigration does. It's a net benefit. It's a net benefit. After all, these people, coming over here, taking our jobs and our women. well, they're coming over and doing the jobs that most of us don't really want to do. I wouldn't want to work in a care home. I just wouldn't. It's not what I want to do. I wouldn't want to be, literally clearing up the nasty stuff. No. But they do it. And they get criticised. They get attacked. God, it makes me wonder, what has become of us? To throw these troops at these people who are just doing the hardest jobs out there for the littlest money. That's right across the board, it's not just, care homes and nursing in general, doctors. What about those who work the fields? Bending over all day long, back-breaking work, laying in, canvas, lilos, and grabbing cutting off the old cauliflower heads and cabbages and God knows what else. I know a lot of the crops are machine harvested, like for carrots and stuff like that. But a lot of them, they're still done by hand. And then you've got the courgettes, the zucchini, the pumpkins and squashes and all the other crops that require a pair of hands to actually harvest. And what about those people breaking their backs? What about those who pick the daffodils for Mother's Day, for instance, is gone? And it's just, what about those people? That is really back-breaking work. Now, where I'm from in Norfolk, there was a farm called Bond Farm, and they grew tulips for Holland, in Norfolk. There's whatever Holland be packaged and come back again probably. But watching them literally just, cutting these bunches of tulips and wrapping bands around them and putting them in their side. Talk about arthritic work, the sort of thing that really destroys your hands. It really is. They came back, they're Romanian, they come back every single year to do that work. They can't get anyone there. They're struggling to get people. And it's costing them a lot more money. The thing is, they're selling these tulips to the same places and they can't put the prices up. They'll go somewhere else, wouldn't they? Because they set the price, how much they pay. So a lot of these farms, what have you, they end up taking less money in, and many of them, they find they can't make ends meet, and they collapse. They fail. Hello, Joe. I hope you're well, my friend. That's why Suffolk is better than Norfolk. No, it's not. Retract, boy. Mark, as a welder, I promise you that's not the problem. But plenty of people are willing to work out there. Well, welders earn shitloads. Really good money being a welder. If you be a pipe welding, huge amounts of money. You'll be good at it though. And it'll be replaced by robots soon. Yeah, I hope Qatar bugged the hell out of that plane. Now, I was just reading this about Canada. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Canada, I have to admit. And some of it's down to Mark Carney, because after he was the Bank of England governor for some while, and he's level-headed, straight talker, and he's pretty much been the same now, being the Prime Minister of Canada. Anyway, Canada has grounded over 20 US routes as Air Canada, WestJet, Porter, and a flare pivot to Europe. Why is that? Well, Canadians, instead of going to the United States, they're saying, Oh, sod the United States. They're not having any of our money. We're going to go to Europe instead. That's pretty much what's happening. Well, a lot of opportunities, isn't there? A lot of culture here to enjoy. Plus, if you go a little bit further south in Spain, places like that, in Italy, and the weather's pretty fantastic as well. So, WestJet, Porter, Flair, pivot to Europe, adding flights to France, Germany, Italy, Spain, the UK, even Netherlands, and Portugal. A lot of this is down to what's going on in the United States and the ostracisation of the United States, since Donald Trump seems to think that it's okay to tariff every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and also try to tell the Canadian people that we want your country. Just like they're trying to tell the Greenlanders that we want your country. Obviously, they're not going to be very happy, are you? Needless to say. I uploaded this video early today because all this stuff was really getting on my nerves, and it was just it was getting me down. Actually, I was getting a bit depressed about it, and I just yeah, why are people so horrible? Yeah, and some of it's from what I saw in Worcester, where a father was taken and effectively kidnapped child. The brutality of it, and no warrants, no nothing. Is the local people, they were trying to do their bit, being concerned citizens, but no, they get police turned up. ICE got their own way, and they took these people and drove off in an unmarked car. No warrants, no identity. Many of the people working for ICE were faces covered up and what have you. That's why I say, you expose these people. It's just like, why have people got to be so horrible? I just hope that there's some humanity out there, because this is not humanity. This isn't decency, humanity, and caring for others. And these same people tout about the Bible. So-called evangelicals, and yet they're happy to do harm to others. Doesn't that go against the 10 Commandments? Well, they're not interested in your constitution, so why would they be interested in the commandments? I just find it a bit unbearable, to be honest. It was getting to me. I'll be honest with you, that actually was getting to me. I just watched one video after another, and some people have been sending me some private clips and that as well. Oh, fuck, crikey. And then I get the occasional death threat, All right, what are you going to do? I'm in France, Are you going to come over here and murder me here, aren't you? No, I don't think so. Those sort of threats to me are just like weak. What concerned me more was seeing people suffering, really, just ordinary folk and who are already struggling, especially under Donald Trump's tariff madness, where everything is increasing in cost, and the price of eggs and all that. It just flabbergasts me. It really flabbergasts. I was struggling, to be honest with you, and pencils, like, for instance, you look at your views and stuff like that, and you get a little bit of money from YouTube, but isn't a lot, believe you me. Unless you're a big channel. If you're Midas Touch with someone like that, they're earning a good lot of money, they are, and fair dues to them. They do a good job, they really do. I wish I didn't have those dodgy old adverts, though, in between. Oh my God, they are so painful to watch. I skip past them now. If I'm watching a Midas Touch video, I skip past them. I just can't stand them. I think they demean themselves by doing that. It's like when you see a celebrity, it's someone you respected as an actor, for instance. And all of a sudden, they start doing, I don't know, hair adverts, or some kind of cologne or something. Oh my God, talk about demeaning yourself. That's desperate. That is desperate. So yeah, I don't like to say it. Yeah, there's a few other channels out there that I watch. Um, which which don't you do it? Do anything like that. I just don't think you need it. But anyway, they do very well. They earn quite good. They earn ridiculous amounts of money, I should imagine. But the smaller channels out there, and there's a few out there. There's a few I follow, small channels, and they get a few views. Maybe not too many, but they have something to say. It might be a little bit different from the mainstream. Makes it interesting. But anyway, that was getting to me a bit. So you could have argument could be, oh, you're earning all this money, well then, okay, I'll suffer it. My dogs can live a life of luxury. They can. I'll suffer it for them. But no, it gets hard sometimes. But not just because of that side of things, but because of really more than anything is watching the cruelty and having to listen, not to listen, to watch it and listen to it and feel their pain, so to speak. I just can't. Donald Trump has really unleashed the beast, hasn't he, in people? He really has unleashed the beast and justified them. In his own mind, obviously, not, nobody in their right mind or sane mind would say that he's doing a good job, because he's not, The GDP in the United States is suffering, the trade is way down, exports way down, imports way down. Everything really is up in the air. We don't know 1 minute to the next what's going on. Yes, he's managed to, or Scott Bessent managed to agree some new terms with China, which are, well, still 90 days, still temporary. How are they supposed to, businesses, industry, whatever, how are they supposed to progress when you got this madness? You can't build a factory in the United States on the basis of 90 days. No. It's not going to happen, is it? No, it's just not. Oh, I just find it just absolute madness that you see these people out there, which, okay, that's the comical side of it, in the sense the MAGA, what have you, waving their little MAGA flags and trying to make out Donald Trump is the Messiah, but no, he's just a naughty little boy, and it's like, oh, these people are just so stupid. They are, I'm sorry, but not supposed to call people stupid, but they are. These people are just stupid. Definition of an idiot, making the same mistake again and again and again. It's exactly who they are. Stupid. And they're the ones who are suffering. They're the ones who are suffering. They're biting their own asses, they really are. And then you've got the mini-me. Oh my God. The mini-me, which is basically anything under $800 is not subjected to tax. Tariff, which is a tax. But he got rid of it. He got rid of the de minimis. And now it's been not negotiated, but well, I suppose it's renegotiated, and instead of being 120% tariff, it's now a 54% tariff. So everything is, at least half as expensive again. How can anyone think that's a great idea? That the people who voted for Donald Trump are paying more for everything. Probably the same people who are constantly buying stuff from Shein and Temu and AliExpress. And they're paying absolutely ridiculous prices for tat. And it ain't going to bring that kind of manufacturing to the United States. No. So they're tooled up for it. You send over your, you ask them to, can you make this, please? Right, so you give them your plans and stuff like that. Maybe you had it copyrighted, it's got a patent on it. And they come back with a prototype and you say, that's good, I'm happy with that. And then they'll start building these things. So many of them are here, but I say they're taught up for it. They've got the staffing, they've got the materials, they've got the machines, they've got everything there. You're not going to build that kind of level of manufacturing overnight, are you, in the United States? Be starting from ground zero, from the beginning. You'll probably have to send people over to China to see how they do it, So yeah, it's absolute madness. There's Donald Trump and Qatar speaking to the people of Qatar and those murderers and that. You like to murder journalists, as it goes. Kasabi, what was his name? Sawabi. I can't remember his name now. The journalist who was cut up and put in a suitcase. Apparently that's okay now. Not in my book, it's not. Anyway, Donald Trump was up there speaking. Oh my Gideon. Everyone looked comatose. In fact, Donald Trump looked comatose as well, to be fair. Scott Bessent looked comatose. I think he was asleep. So it was Marco Rubio who was there. And then there was Elon Musk clapping like this. Seriously, he was clapping like this. What the fuck was that about? Why was he there anyway? Yes, Elon Musk was there. In Qatar. Well, Donald Trump is went, when can I pick up my new aeroplane? I want my new the $400 million fucking Boeing. Gold-plated toilet seat. Blatant corruption. See, these sort of things are supposed to go, like I say, as an Article. Oh my God, is it Article 9? Section 1 or something? Or was it Article 1, Section 9? Stuff, Article 1, Section 9, yeah, where it's supposed to go to Congress to be approved. But no. Pam Bondi said it was okay. You can have your jet. Donnie. Oh my God. These people. Currently, your constitution in the United States is worth nothing. What good is it? Everyone's ignoring it. No, I hope at some point in the future, these people end up in front of the Hague, End up in some prison for life. That's what I hope. But they won't. They'll carry on doing what they're doing and making people's lives a misery. Or maybe if Donald Trump's not the president of the United States, maybe they'll start speaking out against him. To the cover their own asses. I do wonder, though. That I do. Because I don't think that'll ever happen. I really don't, as it stands. Hey, what's up in the old chat? Ooh, who's in the chat? Blimey. Hello, Claudia Carden. Oh, well, the plane probably even has a golden shower installed with a portrait of Vladimir Putin riding a bear naked. Maybe. Oh, dear. Some Republicans in the Senate and the House are indeed moving on the Republican side. Oh, my God, really? And they are... Hello, Gingers, hope you well. And the House indeed are moving on to the Republican side, and they're feeling the pressure from their people. Keep the pressure on. You've got to keep pressure on, I suppose, but For me to keep pressure on, I need the views, Without the views, there's no pressure, is there? It's just... Because what I won't do, I'm not going to lie to anybody, but I just feel that it feels like sometimes when I look at these statistics, they make no sense. One minute it's just, oh, that looks right. All of a sudden it's just dead. Absolutely dead in the water. It's just, something's going on here. I'm live from India, Himalayas. A friend of ours was in the Himalayas on a motorbike just recently. 2 years ago, actually, not recently, 2 years ago. That was rather interesting. So he tells me. And yeah, people, everywhere. Never, yeah, I don't think there's any laws or rules. And just be careful, you don't hit a cow, whatever you do. I hope they forgot to take the weight of gold into consideration on that plane. I hope they put it all in their nose, so it just dives into a mountain. That's kind of what I hope. I'm more into hot, steamy Putin, not a hot, steamy Putin. Hot, steamy Putin. What there we are? You got a hot, steamy bum, dear. Oh crikey! Oh, oh wench. Oh dear. Howdy from Missouri. Hello there, Missouri. Hope you well. Yes, we aren't the 51st anything. No, you're definitely not the 51st state, and you never will be. Flipping out, what the hell does he think? And does he honestly think that the Canadian people are going to want that? I just find that just bizarre. Almost as bizarre whenever Donald Trump speaks. Why is he speaking in Qatar and going on about his approval rating, which is at 39%? He's been absolutely devastated at the moment. He really is. I've got a little bit of wine, yeah, and a Yoda. Now, I'm not going to be uploading as many videos as normally. I've got quite a few to go on already that I've already done. But I'm going to slow down a little bit at the moment because it's really getting on top of me. So I want to do a bit more on my woodworking channel and through there in my lab, on Tinker's lab. So yeah, I'm going to sort of spread myself out a bit more. Love Canada. I don't understand. There's something I don't understand. Why would you attack Canada? They're some of the nicest people, you know. As long as they're not conservatives, of course. But, you know, they seem calm and normal. Oh, what's going on in the United States at the moment? I know there's good people in the United States as well, of course there is. But, you know, it's just Ron DeSantis and his missus, like, you know, like keep diverting like £1 million here and £1 million there, as though that's okay, you know. You know, it's, well, Florida's in a bit of a state, isn't it? Then you got all those states that are going, you know, red states going bankrupt. There ain't going to be any money to help them out. No. Just like the states that need, well, they must have a bit of financial aid, wouldn't they, from FEMA? What's happened there? Done. No help there. No, Donald Trump, he just want to get rid of everything. And this is going into his back pocket. Also for his family. Which is, you know, their wealth has increased exponentially since Donald Trump has been president. Some crazy amount of money. I think it's like 6 billion or something. The family's wealth has increased. That's like 2 billion a month, you know, since Donald Trump has been president of the United States. Manipulating the dollar, manipulating the markets, just so they can rip you off, basically. While everyone else is suffering because, you know, a bunch of losers, you say, we're all losers. Just like the veterans, according to Donald Trump. Yeah, the veterans are, well, not all of them, obviously, because you've got veterans against Trump. But a lot of them voting for Donald Trump like he's some kind of messiah. I'll tell you one thing, though. Like during the Brexit campaign, the older generation who was very pro-Brexit weren't those who were in the war. No, it was the sons and the daughters of those who were in the war. But they speak as like it was their war, like they was what they fought for, even though they weren't in the war. Now, pretty much everybody that I've come across who was in the war, they thought the idea of leaving the European Union was madness. My grandfather, you know, he voted to go in. Yet my dad voted to go out, to get out of the Europe. Yeah, not Europe, but yeah, the European Union. Cause it is Europe, and the UK is in Europe. It's a continent, but stupidity. So what's going on in the United States? So Canada's got the right idea. Canada certainly has got the right idea. Protect yourselves and do what you need to do. You just managed to increase your ability to trade with the EU. The EU is very open to it as well, including the United Kingdom as well. And yeah, you're going to have to make up the difference. I mean, and it's going to be tough to start. Of course, it is. There's no doubt there is. It's going to be hard to make that transition, make those changes in trading. To keep the GDP up, to pay for services and stuff, and the fact you've got decent healthcare. But you'll get there. You'll get there. Got no doubt at all. Level headed, calm people, and you'll work your way through it. You've got the right person at the helm, and you'll work your way through it and increase your trade elsewhere, and you'll be quizzing for it. It's no good, trying to trade with somebody who's volatile, and who's constantly changing or moving the goalposts. You can't base a business on that. You can't base any kind of trading relationship on that. It's illogical, totally illogical. Now China, they've sort of negotiated a new trading arrangement between China and the United States, but it's not that favourable terms, are they? The farmers who want to export to the EU, to China, sorry, to China from the United States, they're still up against the fact that China's looked at new markets again. They don't know. They don't want to sort of find themselves in a bit of a situation in a few months' time. 90 days, all of a sudden they're in the same boat again with Donald Trump. It makes no sense. You clearly wanted to make sure that your trading relationship is stable. But nothing's stable with Donald Trump. He's not stable. He's a freaking lunatic. I know there'll be people out there who love Donald Trump. They think he's the Messiah. He's a naughty little boy, isn't he? He's having a whale of a time. He's having a whale of a time at everybody else's expense. But his popularity rating has plummeted at 39%. And he knows he judges everything on the basis of it. So you can imagine how annoyed he is at the moment. Because he's quite an angry little man, really. He's a bit like Prince William. He's an angry little man. Who really shave his head. What is it without a bit of hair there and a bit of hair there and the rest of it's bald? Just don't get it. But for our tuck he is, shave it off. There's dignity about it, We all lose our hair eventually, don't we? Well, okay, my father-in-law hasn't. He's got shitloads of hair, but some people do. I've still got some left, just about. But for me, you see, I work in a workshop and I get covered in dust and shit. I just stick my head in the barrel and that's it. I'm done. I'm clean again. That's what I do. And so today I was supposed to be making videos this morning, and I made a couple, and I thought to myself, my head was spinning. I was getting really down, really upset about it, and I was speaking to Caroline, their missus. I just do something you want to do today. So I made a tote. I did a live actually on my woodworking channel. I made a tote. So I've been wanting to make a tote for ages, just to do jobs. So I made a nice tote. Nice curved handle and stuff like that. Put my tools in, cart them around the house and stuff like that. And just ground yourself. Something about doing something creative and somebody actually making something. It feels positive. Unlike what's going on at the moment, it doesn't feel positive, does it? It feels destructive. Like everything's been broken, everything's been destroyed. And it's quite sad, really. I think it's quite sad. The degree of of the. I think the worst. Well, that's got to be the worst thing, isn't it? Is what's going on with ICE. How horrific the treatment by ICE. Immigration customs enforcement officers, and no jurisdiction, no warrants. They should just rip people off the street effectively. One lady posted a video earlier today where she'd her husband's been basically disappeared, and the only reason she knew what happened was because she had security footage from the cameras, like the door ring cameras and what have you. It was the only reason that she knew what happened to him, and she doesn't know where he is. You try and contact these people, get your judges involved and stuff like that. A lot of people ain't got the money to do all this stuff, you see. It's just cruel. It's cruel. That's, like I say, it's one of the reasons why I was getting a little bit down early today. And it's kind of thinking to myself, what's the point? These people are lost. And I feel that about MAGA, and I feel that about those who vote for the Reform Party in the UK. And I think these people are lost. You ain't going to bring them back. You've got Keir Starmer. I think that he's. If I be a bit more right wing, if I be like the Reform Party. Well, then maybe I'll be able to get those people, from the Red Wall and what have you, back on side and they'll start voting for us again. No, they won't. They made their mind up. They ain't got to start voting for Labour unless the Reform Party absolutely cocks up. And that's only going to happen if they end up in power. Because they will cock up. See, all these people on the right, it's the same story every single time. They make all these promises, don't they? Right-wing politicians, they make all these promises. And when it comes down to it, they fail. They just do. It's easy to make a promise because you don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain how you're going to do it. Because I'm not in power yet. So it's just that kind of thing, isn't it, More cases than not, it's just not possible. Whether it be for legal reasons or whether it be for the fact that matters, you just need people in the first place to get the jobs done. Now, I was saying earlier today, I think I did in a video earlier, where if you get, for instance, a economic migrant or a nurse, what have you, coming into a health service, how many people do that put up one nurse treat? That nurse, she's not a drain on the health service. She's obviously a massive positive because she's treating more people than she'd ever need to be treated herself. So she's a massive positive. Even if she's bringing her family, she's still a massive positive. You see, it makes no sense. All these arguments make no sense. We need the people because we don't make them anymore. We're not making enough people. We have got, in the UK and probably some areas in the United States as well, they're on a negative. Birth rates are on a decline. But let's be fair. It won't be long before we be having all these little robots doing all these jobs. France, for instance, have just made a statement earlier where by 2040 they want to have a robot army with drones and stuff like that. By 2040, in 15 years' time, to replace people. But that makes sense, you see. Sacrifice the robots and the drones and, like in Ukraine, what have you, and keep your people safe. That makes a huge amount of sense. But when it takes your job, you can't feed your family, what happens then? Universal basic income. But if that happens, it means everybody, just like how they talk about pensioners and what have you, they are not a contributor. They become a drain on society. What are they going to do then? Be like that film, what's it called? That Time? Where they've got a clock on their wrist and they get 25 years old and they peg it unless they've managed to increase their time by work and stuff like that. But all those billionaires and what have you, they got shitloads of time, centuries worth of time for they used to trade with in this film. just a film, or has it looked into the future? Where we become superfluous. Can't even say the word. Surplus to requirements, so to speak. That's going to happen, you know. These machines, don't forget, machines have been doing the work of humans for a long time, haven't they? But, you know, it's going to get to the stage where, we could go, well, about to do the job better than we can. More efficiently. Work all the way through the night. Without breaks. Unless they break, so to speak. So anyway, that's what I look down here. They shut down that flight route from Canada to the USA because of the lack of ticket sales, and that's because they're going elsewhere. Just not the United States. Does that make sense, doesn't it? And a yo-yo. What does that mean? Grounding a route. Grounding a route. Is that what I wrote? Did I write grounding a route? I can't remember now. But yeah, they grounded the route. I did it by voice, so it probably misunderstood my accent if I did that. If you have a good idea, be quiet about it. Yeah, maybe that's the case. Yeah, get patented before you tell anybody. I think Trump is stuck around the 1990s, 1900s era. Yep. And then other times, I wonder if it's more like the 50s. I don't think the man knows what he's doing. I think he just thinks he is. Well, I don't think he thinks he. I know he thinks he is the big Z's and he's better than everybody else. And he needs everyone to fluff him all the time, you know. He needs reassurance, constant reassurance. He's so vain. So I don't know why, but he's so vain. Yeah, he's so bloody stupid. And orange. He's very orange. A tangerine Victor. That's what he is. All that is happening is as Trump keeps kicking the ball down the road. Another 90 days has given countries more time to build alternative routes around the United States. That's a very good point. You can't base your business on. We can't trust the United States now, can you? In more ways than one, you know. It's Europe, for instance, look, gun security and stuff like that. The United States has pretty much said, well, I'll sod you lot, you know, you can go hell. We're not interested anymore. So, you know, they're doing what they need to do. And a massive amount of investment, but also production. You see, there's the fund from the European Union. There's some crazy amount, like 150 billion or whatever it is for European Union funding for defence. Well, it has to be spent in the EU. You can't, spend it on US military equipment. It's got to be spent in the EU. So, you just keep the older money circling in the EU. It makes sense. And why would they send it to the United States? Why would no? Of course, they're going to have those rules. And when you've got countries like Germany and France who build a huge amount of munitions, and Germany with Rheinmetall are doing a massive amount at the moment. They've grown over 3 times their value since January, since Donald Trump has been the president of the United States. They're doing very well, and now they're moving into satellites as well. So Donald Trump has actually done some good for other countries as well. He's just changed the whole mindset and removed the United States as any form of it'd be a dependable country, because it isn't anymore, is it? We can't rely on it. Article 5 and NATO can't get me honestly trust the United States to do its bit there. No, I don't believe for a second. You just there'll be some excuse. There'll be some excuses. At the end of the day, him and old Vladimir Putin, they're best buddies, aren't they? Of course, you're going to carry on being, his friend. Putin was supposed to be meeting in Turkey with Zelensky, but it looks like Putin's actually backed down. Zelensky saying, I'm not going to meet with anyone unless it's Vladimir Putin. The horses make. Well, Zelensky knows, don't he? He knew full well that Putin ain't going to turn up. He wasn't going to go to this meeting. Well, Zelensky keeps saying, I'm going to be there. I'm going to, where are you? But I'm not going to be speaking to anybody else. I want to speak to Putin. So that's what he said anyway. So it's Zelensky making, trying to prove a point really regarding, Putin. And when you got these second truth social posts going up from Donald Trump, so you better be there. He said, no, regarding Zelensky. And Putin ain't even going to turn up. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? It really does. Let's come down. Totally 80s. His music, dance, food, decision making. And the village people. Oh, dear me. And his strange little dance. Oh, crikey. There are many sources, therefore, and many solutions. Yes, most definitely. Oh dear, yeah. Attack on small businesses. That's quite sad, isn't it? Really, all these small, medium enterprises out there, SMEs, and who maybe done drop shipping. We're talking about small businesses. And there's a lot of them. It's not small fry really, because there's so many of them. If I've got a small business. I make windows and doors and stuff like that. But it's for these people, I would say doing drop shipping. That's pretty much stepping scuppered with that. Or business to customer model, or business to business model, even. It's become very hard for these people to trade. Very difficult. And if you obviously have things produced, whatever you by China or on your behalf, well then that is an absolute nightmare now. Add this fucking tariff on top. You see, whenever you add money or a price increases in price to your product, people buy less of it. It's just how it is. It always has been the same. People buy on price, you see. It can be the defining factor of someone's decision whether or not they're going to buy or whether they're not going to buy. It could be as little as €1 or $1, or whatever. It could be a tiny amount of money that actually triggers that decision. A yay or nay. It's just how it is. It's always been the case, where people buy on price. Many people do. Not everybody, if you've got shitloads of money, you're not going to be buying on price, are you? You just buy. That's what you're looking at, When I go to the supermarket, I'm looking up and down the shelves. Okay, that's a budget brand over there. That'll do, for that particular thing. And quite often, you get to know, don't you? You get to know what's worth having and what isn't. What products are worth eating and what products aren't. The good and the bad. And the goddamn ugly sometimes. So you know what to buy. You can do that. But, some people, especially if you've got a good income or you've got money, you just buy the same old thing every single week, and you're not looking at cheaper products or brands because you don't have to. And some of it's kudos, about, I don't want to be buying budget brands or store brands or anything like that because, I'm going to it'll look bad. People might see the bottom. It's kind of just sad, really. Like I say often, there's no bloody difference in some of this stuff. It's just the branding. Not all the cases, not every time, obviously. Yeah. Oh yes, Portugal produces quite a lot of medications there. Just the UK does as well. Regarding exports. Oh, crikey, Donald Trump's just trying to take some credit for something that was well, it was Biden there. When Donald Trump became the president of the United States, he decided that he was going to get rid of the the cap basically on the medications on pharmacy, special things like insulin or whatever, for diabetics, and Ventolin, those sort of things, they were capped. But not that, he got rid of all that, didn't he? And now he's trying to take credit for something like that again. Bring down the price of pharmaceuticals for the people. Oh, does he think that? Oh, I don't think it's even going to get through, to be honest. I don't think he can get this will actually even happen. But do you think? Does he honestly believe that people are really this stupid? I know many of them are with the little red hats on. Make America great again. I follow Donald Trump on his Truth Social. Some of them posts are just unbelievably bad. I mean, they're really ridiculous. They're totally illegible. And now, many of them now just look like they've been created in AI. It's just. He's sporadic, isn't he? He is so sporadic. You can't plan by him. You can't make decisions by him. Madness. Absolute madness. Hang on, I don't know if my chat is frozen. I'm just going to look at my phone and see whether or not. I get very tired now. Really tired. There we go. View my channel. Apparently I'm live. It's funny hearing yourself. Yep, that has frozen again. I'll do the chat on air then instead. I will. So, Kerry Schmidt. My dad was in. I'll come back down. Regina Rifles, a unit that landed on Juno Beach in Normandy. And my grandfather. Where's my? Sorry, someone might go find it in a minute. My grandfather is one of the few people who, early on, went into Belsen camp just after the war ended, and he had von Kramer in the first von Kramer's Joseph von Kramer, the commandant of Belsen camp. He kept him in the actual fridge, the freezer, big ass fridge. Because for his own safety, actually, because obviously he had to stand trial and stuff. Because the recently released prisoners want to kill him, obviously, So they had to protect him, so they put him in the fridge. Now, my grandfather, for years afterwards, he had these nightmares of seeing bodies hanging in this fridge or freezer, whatever it was. And I remember going to see my grandfather. I used to stay with my grandfather. He's brilliant, man. Oh, he's such a great man, he was. And anyway, I stayed around there quite often. Yeah, every other week normally, when we go fishing and stuff like that. Quite often, my grandfather would wake up in the middle of the night screaming. And we didn't find out until just before he died, actually, what he was screaming about was he had these visions of dead bodies hanging in these freezers, even though they weren't. It was just meat and other stuff in these freezers. But when he went into the camp, there's all these piles of just dead people. A lot of them died for typhoid, what have you. Some were killed by the Nazis and that in these camps. Now von Kramer, a lot of people think he was obviously an evil man. But he had his supplies cut off, right? Because the train lines were blown up by either the Brits or the Americans, and they basically lost all their supplies coming into the camp, and then things went really bad. Lack of food and stuff like that, and water. They had no clean water. Had problems there because of the typhoid, and so von Kramer would go around the towns with these Bowsers, trying to collect water, for the camp. Yeah, because it's just rife with typhoid. It was just horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And these are the same. My grandfather, he had post-traumatic stress syndrome, I suppose. And he was a driver. He was a driver for a Colonel Haig or Haig, Haig, I think it was. And he was a driver for him, and it was some of the stories, was just horrendous. Anyway, he was stationed there post-war for a good long while, and had to look after the prisoners and the German prisoners. The camps basically end up being camps for the prisoners, German prisoners. They want to know where. Obviously, they're doing their thing to see who's going to go in front. Find themselves in the Hague, and then those who just German prisoners, just doing as they're told, I suppose, so to speak. I suppose, I don't know. I can't imagine anyone doing it just because they've been told to. But there you go, it's pretty horrendous. But it's just my father used to have those little toys, and they were made by German prisoners of war, post World War Two. So they make all these sort of template toys and stuff like that. God, give the German people, they're amazing. What they can make at absolute nothing. And I've got a few bits and pieces, what have you, from my grandfather that he brought home, and also my dad, some of his old toys and stuff, and decanters and all sorts of stuff made from nothing. Just stuff that was valuable bits of tin plate and stuff like that. If you'd make them into a sheath or something, wouldn't you? A sheath. Stabby device. But no, it was a case of they just riding it out, really. They were eventually released. Grandfather came home. Dad had sort of like been, was a young man at that point, and been spoilt by mother, Gracie. And even during the war, what have you, she was making all the ladies, what have you, like night dresses from parachute silk. It's kind of ingenuity, Now I can make something out of nothing. I do. That's what I do all the time. I love making stuff out of nothing. What can I make out of that? Think about it for a bit. Come up with a solution plan and what other materials can I chuck in with that? Yeah, that's who I am. I love doing that sort of stuff. I probably learned that from my father because that's who he was. He's just innovative with whatever he's got in front of him. But these are skills that have been lost over a period of time. It's everything that we have these days, it comes in a little cardboard box, doesn't it, or in a blister pack. And we don't make anything or make do anymore. Now, if you're in a situation where you've got, war, or where all the supply chains are cut off, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to get what you need or solve a problem if all those supply chains are gone? It's like these people who are constantly buying stuff and they're using their phones to pay for this, that, and the other. Well, what are you going to do if, for instance, the internet is either restricted or it's gone or periods of time? Now, I'm not an advocate for getting rid of paper money. Definitely not. I ain't got a problem with people using digital money and what have you, and paying things on the phones and either. But I still think we should keep the paper money. I really do, because there'll be times when we need it. Now we've had a few problems recently where we had payment systems fall over. Whether it be Visa or Mastercard or what have you, because they've been hacked or whatever reason. They just failed. What do you do? What if that happened for like a week, 2 weeks at a time? If you're in wartime and all of a sudden these companies can't communicate with each other, what are you going to do? That's where these skills and the ability to be able to make something, they come into our own, don't they? They just do. And it's just something that I feel has been lost. that ability to be able to diversify and come up with solutions to problems that don't involve spending money. We're all too quick off the mark to just let go of your money to buy stuff that in many cases you don't really need, or to replace something that you've already got. Or for me sometimes because I can't find the bloody thing. And I end up buying another one because maybe it's something I can't make, or something that's just not cost effective to make it. But what happens when you can no longer get it? Same with food and toilet rolls, since Brazil is having a bit of a problem regarding the amount of pulp that they're able to produce, and it looks like the United States is going to have a toilet paper shortage again because of pulp, toilet paper pulp. It's just, it might amount to nothing at all, but it's just, it's what this particular largest pulp manufacturer said, that we've got a shortage. I don't know. What's wrong with free seashells? Robert, I hope you're well. My time is messed up. When was about 6 a horse-drawn carriage delivered? Oh my giddy aunt. Horse-drawn carriage. I can't remember that. I remember growing up and there'd be horses and stuff like that coming down, trotting down the old road and what have you, in the suburbs of Norwich in the UK. That was. And then we had the little old guy who's coming in the knife sharpener. He'd have like this little stone wheel on his bike, and he'd put the bike on a stand, and then he'd be pedalling away, and the little wheel would be spinning around, and there he is sharpening the knives and the scissors and stuff. Crikey. I would not let him touch my knives, and I said, no. As a woodworker, my knives and my freaking edges are sharp as hell they are. And that's how I like them. I'm not some bloody grind on the bike. No. Anyway, he used to come up and down, and about once a month we'd see the knife sharpener. And then there was the Corona man who was in the van where you'd collect your Corona bottles. There'd be, I think it's like 5 or 10p deposit on the bottles, and you could then buy some more Corona. It's just fizzy drink, fizzy pop. The bread man used to come down and used to get the bread from the bread man, and obviously then there was the milkman as well. He also sold bread and other stuff as well. So yeah, we had for us it would be the co-op milkman. They was, I suppose they were fun times, Not that old, 55, but it's I can remember that sort of stuff when I was little. But I'm not saying it was perfect, because it wasn't. There's a lot of people suffered. There wasn't the safety net that we have now. But it looks like to me that we're getting the United States. They're trying to remove that safety net now, aren't they? It's disappearing. And now it looks like the Labour Party in the UK is doing the same. To suck up to, Reform Party. Nigel Farage's lot. That's not who the Labour Party is supposed to be about. They're supposed to look after people. The party that was evolved from unions. They're there to look after the working classes, and it's taken a real bad turn, from what I can see. And you could argue the same about the Republican Party, I can't remember it being as bad as it is now. I'm sure it wasn't as bad as it is now. Reagan wasn't as bad as they are now. In fact, the stuff that Reagan used to say regarding tariffs, whatever, and free trade and stuff, was the opposite of Donald Trump. It was opposite. I just find the whole thing flabbergasting, how everything's just turned for the worst. It really has. What have I got here? What have I got here? Oh, Casper, I hope you're well. I missed the milkman coming to the door. Yeah, we had Mr. Edwards. That was our milkman. In Sallow, when we were in Sallow, when me and Mrs. lived together, we had our milkman there as well, Mr. Edwards. And he was a great old boy. Then, when we had us, oh, God, this before me and Caroline got together, actually just the year before, actually, we had a really bad snowstorm. And he'd bring his tractor with the milk, and he managed to get Caroline's baby milk and what have you, and also a prescription from the pharmacy for her, you know. It's, I can't imagine anyone doing that for anybody anymore, you know. I really can't. Don't get me wrong, there are some good people out there, and I'm sure there are people out there who do it, but you know, you milkman, you know. Oh, Alan Edwards, is it? Alan Edwards is his name. He's dead now. He's gone. But he was a great old boy. He really was a great old boy. You know. But oh God, where did he live? He had a little farm. He did. You know. I used to go to school with his son, John Edwards. But you know, it's just everyone knew each other. You know. You got Keir Starmer saying things out in the island of strangers. It's not because we've got immigration. That's not why we've got this so-called island of strangers. It's because people hate on others, you know. And if you've been hated on, you're not exactly going to be pally with me. You're going to step back a bit, aren't you? You're going to stay out of the way. You know, we have these flipping Farage riots and individuals thought it was a great idea to satellite to a wheelie bin and put it in a, you know, through the foyer of a hotel where, okay, these people got arrested in the end. I think they got prison. You know, where these migrants were staying, part-time, you know, temporary accommodation. Sounds like murder to me, attempted murder to me, you know. And you wonder why these people, well, stay in their own little conclaves, you know, and they don't integrate well because, you know, in the day you tried to murder them. You know, of course they're going to stay out the bloody way. They think everybody hates them, and they do hate them. They've them outside chanting at them. They're frightened. You see, this is like I don't know, it's terror, isn't it? You know, the same as going on in the United States with Donald Trump and ISIS. It's terror. Scare the hell out of people, you know. Oh, they won't be here, but they're there now. Yeah, now, aren't they? They ain't got a lot of choice. And then what happens? Well, ISIS comes along, grabs them, and carts them off somewhere and shave their heads and put them in El Salvador in prison, a gulag. Well, could even be Libya, you know, or Moldova. Some of the worst places, and you can even imagine, you know, it's just. But MAGA are okay about it. The people who work for ICE, the militia, they're okay about it. The regime of terror. They're quite happy about it, aren't they? They think it's fun. They enjoy it. They're evil, quite frankly. They're evil. If anyone says to me, oh, I don't think they can, how can they sleep at night and stuff like that? Because they sleep like a baby, they do. Because they're happy about it. They're pleased with themselves. Maybe others around them, if they knew what these people were doing for work, or if they were volunteering, because, you know, it gives them power, makes them feel strong and all that, you know. Yeah, you know. I deported through foreigners today. They had brown faces. Makes them feel superior. They're not, you know, they're not superior. They play evil. They're weak, actually. They're weak. These, you know, the situation is not getting any better, is it? It's just getting worse, more depressing by the minute. It really is. And it's just, it's tiresome. I find it really tiresome to think people like this actually exist. That they walk amongst you. That's what I say to people. They need to be doxed. You need to expose them and publish them, who they are, where they live, let their families know who they're, who are in their families. Because a lot of these people are not going to agree with them, aren't they? They're not. No. They're not going to be happy about what their friends and family are up to. These people going to the pub at night, with their mates and stuff, and talking about this, that, and the other. Do they know what they're doing during the day? I bet they don't. Unless they keep the same circles. I bet they don't. At some point in the future, you could argue that there will be some court cases, and maybe The Hague involved. You see, they're breaking fucking every look in the book they are. Donald Trump is. All his lackeys are. They're going against the Constitution. That's a given. These are laws, He's breaking the law. Now, Donald Trump's going to have to worry about it. He ain't going to be about for much longer, is he? He's more doddery by the minute. Like he is. What about the Marco Rubios and the J.D. Vances and all that ilk? Pam Bondi, cosplay Christy Gnomes, all those people. I think they're a bit short-sighted. At some point, the law has got to. It's got to come through, hasn't it? It just has to. Because what else is there, when it comes down to it? What else is there? What are you saying? Hey, Marcus Big Fan. Hello, buddy. Hope you're well. The whole thing is a scam, mate. Make the rich richer. Yes, most definitely. And keep the rest down and scare them into obedience. Serfs. The ruling classes and all that, It's like we're going back 100 years plus, maybe 1800s. Send the kids up the chimneys. Well, ain't that happening in Florida? Ain't they trying to pass a bill at the moment where the kids can go to work? Send them up the chimneys. That's what they're going to do. That's what Mary Poppins says. Yeah, I think you got a point there, my friend. That you have. So, hello, Polar Vortex. Got to read a Testament by Atwood. I need to read that then. What's that about? It's a bit like the... Oh, crikey, isn't it just? It's a bit like the Ben Pham book. I've seen extracts from that. I haven't read the book, though. 2 hours drive north of fascist USA. Be happy you're in France. Yes. I'm not going to argue with you. I really aren't. For all Macron's ills and what have you, and a lot of French people hate Macron, Emmanuel Macron. He makes sense to me in many cases. He really does. And when I see him and other European leaders like Friedman, what have you, it makes sense. What they're saying, it's logic in it, When I hear Donald Trump speak, I'm really struggling. I really am struggling to make head or tail of it. He doesn't... I know I speak in a certain tone and a way, but it doesn't make no sense at all. It's just... Everyone's like backwards. It's kind of like he's speaking in... like the French language where, you got certain words at the beginning and instead of at the end and stuff like that, but in English, which makes no sense whatsoever. And watching him in Qatar making his speech, oh my Gideon, those poor people. I actually felt sorry for Scott Besson, who looks like he was falling asleep. And Marco Rubio looked like he's falling asleep. While Elon Musk is clapping like this. you know. When Donald Trump was speaking, could you imagine that? It was just painful just to watch, let alone listen to. And what the heck was he on about? He was talking about his approval rating, how great isn't this, that, and the other. And then he was sucking up to the blinking, whatever his name is, you know, their supreme leader in Qatar. He likes to murder journalists. How great he is, how wonderful he is. Donald Trump says he's the best man, he's great man, all this. Oh my God. Bennett. Talk about sucking that old chocolate starfish. Crikey. It was. Well, Donald Trump was doing the suckling this time. He said, when can I pick up my jet? It just begs belief. It really does, you know. Pam Bondi says gingers have helped save 270 million American lives with their southern border policy. Oh my God. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? It really does. Build the wall, yes. And the Mexicans will pay for it. Well, obviously Canada's going to be building the wall and the Americans will be paying for it. That they will. There are Americans who visit Edinburgh with the direct advice of the American travel agencies to wear a Canadian maple leaf badge. Get treated well, and you see, actually you're welcomed. Oh, I tell you what, just there's a Canadian who follows this channel, Cootaloo, and very kind of. He sent me a load of maple syrup. Oh dear, it's all gone now, but you know, there's some 3 bottles of maple syrup he sent me. Me and the missus. It's just little things like that. It's the kindness of it, you know. It kind of, you know, it just makes you realise there's good people out there. There is. There's good people out there. And you've got to remind yourself that these people exist. It isn't just the haters, isn't just the people like Donald Trump's lackeys and, you know, MAGA, all the Brexiters, you know. They don't make the majority of the people in this world. They really don't. They just don't. You know, and I've got grandchildren, and I worry about their futures and stuff, environment, and what's going on there. And you know, and I worry about my son-in-law even. You know, he's Nigerian, and with all this rhetoric flying about at the moment, I just think to myself, crikey, you know, there's always that risk, isn't there, that things are going to turn sour. Like they have done in the United States. Could that happen in the UK? I would hope not, but, you know, never say never. After hearing Keir Starmer speak like some kind of little fascist. Seriously, that's what I think, you know. And he's not a Donald Trump mind, but crikey. Using statements like me or pal and brief, you know, variations of an island of strangers. I wonder to myself how, you know, those people who are working in the hospitals and taking care of people, those individuals working in the care homes, taking care of people, you know, doing pretty grotty jobs. Working in a care home is not an easy job. It's not a vocation. It is freaking hard work, you know. And quite often, the places that these people are working in are horrendous. Their bosses can be nasty pieces of work as well, knowing full well that the individuals working there have got no choice but to work there. There's limited opportunities and stuff. And what goes through their head when they hear statements like that? How do they feel about it? Same in the United States or anywhere else in the world to come to that. When you hear your leaders speaking in those terms, and you're going to wonder to yourself, they don't want us here. They don't appreciate us. They don't appreciate what we're doing. Yeah, they're doing some of the horrible, hardest jobs. You know, those working, say, for A&E, and you know, they're doing some of the longest hours. Unappreciated by, you know, by some, not everybody, because, you know, Many people who are treated by people in the by the NHS, accident emergency, are very appreciative. They just are. We had this, for instance, when we used to live in the Sale House at the old doctor's surgery, we had doctor name was Dr. Powell. I doubt he's alive now. A long time ago, but Dr. Powell. Nobody liked him. Nobody liked him. Give you an idea what this guy was like. All the other surgeries were, in this building, in this health centre. Had modern desks, modern this. Now you go in Dr. Powell's, he'd have his old leather top desk and old furniture and stuff like. He was stuck in the art kind of thing. But that's what he liked. That's who he was. But he always came out, okay, to get you. He didn't rely on the receptionist. He would come out and get you, and then walk you to the actual to his little room, whatever, his surgery. And we always shook his hand, always thanked him, shook his hand when we left, knowing full well that was kind of what he was about. He was about etiquette. He was about. He wanted to be treated with respect, and then he respected you, vice versa. You got to earn the respect, And we found him absolutely brilliant. He's one of the best doctors we had. We were so happy to have Dr. Powell. Everyone else said, "Oh, I don't want Dr. Powell." He scared them, But he was brilliant. He was being obviously one of the older doctors there, was extremely knowledgeable, and his manner was very professional. But that's who he was. We respected that, because we were happy to be treated by him, or be have his his judgment, whatever judgment, his I can't think of the word now, but anyway, treat us, But it's etiquette, and it's about treating people with respect. Because the respect has to be earned. And when you have MAGA type people, how can you respect that? When you got the Brexiters saying the words that they're saying, how can you respect that? When I hear Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, using Enoch Powell tropes, how can you respect that? I can't. I'm sorry, I just can't. And it does sadden me. It really does, and it's kind of I don't go through my life, not through my life, about my life, and also my damn wife. Caroline's a sweet girl. My damn is she's the kindest soul. She's a much nicer person than I am, way more forgiving than I'll ever be. She's just a kind person. And sometimes she gets put upon because of it. But how do you? How can you expect to be treated with respect if you're not respectful yourself? That's some of the politicians. How are they going to win people like me over, for instance, or anyone that actually comes to that, if they don't respect you? If they don't appear that they are actually being honest? Because I don't think, for life of me, I don't believe when Keir Starmer made those statements, he believed in those statements he was making. I don't think that's him. I don't think it is. I just think he's desperate. He's desperate to win these people over, these people on the right. Whereas Donald Trump doesn't give a shit. he don't care who he upsets. When it comes to the end of all this madness that he's putting people through, he'll just leave it and just move on. He knows full well that if it ever goes to the courts again, and he has to go, through all that squit again, he'll be long gone. He'll be long gone. He'll either be dead or somewhere else. He's never going to see the darkness behind the bars, is he? He's never going to end up inside prison. He should have been by now, shouldn't he? Everything he's done has just been a retaliation. You know, Democrats, they failed big time. The judges failed. Everyone failed. It just took so long. By the time anything could be done, it was just too late. It was the President of the United States. Okay, he can't pardon himself, but he'll try. Yeah, that he will. So, ooh, what's this? What's somebody sent me? Oh, my little Grace has sent a poem. I'll tell you what, shit, I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, it's my little Grace. What's that?
And I'm 8 years old, and I've got some ideas if I may.
There you go.
Treasure every drop. My name is Grace, and I'm 8 years old, and I've got some ideas if I may be so bold. What is precious, I'm sure you'll agree. So let's not waste a drop, it's the nature's key. When it rains, don't run and dash, grab a bucket and collect that splash. Use it for plants that wiggle and sway. They'll thank you in leaves in their planty way. Bathtubs are fun, but here's my pick. Half a tub will do the trick. Splash like a dolphin, not a brick. When brushing your teeth, here's a tip-top roll. Turn off the tap, don't fill the pool. That's little streams, quite a lot. We use every drop, save every drop. So here's the rule, easy and smart. Collect every drop, make it an art. Be water wise from bottom to top. Treasure every drop, don't let it stop. With every drop we save each day, we help our planet in a big, small way. So join my team and never stop. We're here to reuse, collect, and treasure every drop.
She did another one actually. She did a little poem about Donald Trump. She did. Oh, my little Grace sent a poem. Alright, there you go. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, yeah. What's going on? Oh, what's the time? I did say Caroline I was going to do it about an hour, and I've done an hour and a half nearly, but there you go. Oh. Let's just bring it down. Poetry is good for the soul, that is. She's a sweet little girl, she is. She's my little Grace, that is. Like writing about the Grinch. Yeah, she did one about Donald Trump. It's actually quite funny. It's about immigration and stuff, but it's on there somewhere. But did I download it? I might download it to my phone actually. I wonder if I got it. But she's yeah, she did a poem about Donald Trump. Have I got it here? I might have it. I might not. If I haven't, let's not worry. Nope, 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 no, not there. I don't think I have. Nope, it's not there. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, I haven't got it. But yeah, she did another one, which is quite sweet, but it is good for the soul. You're right, 100% right. It's good for the soul. Poetry. My home, we can't read. Sorry, Gingers, you can't read. I know you can read. There you go. There we go. Dropouts head to Banff or the old fields out west. I'm confused. What's that mean? They can't leave the crown. Has made promises to the date. You know the crown. You know your king in Canada who happens to be in the UK. How do you feel about the king? But anyway, he's invited Macron to Balmoral to stay. Emmanuel Macron and his wife is going to be staying at Balmoral. I wonder if Donald Trump is going to be staying at Balmoral when he visits the UK. Yeah, the state visit and all that, you know. Well, see, Macron is going to be visiting the UK very soon for a state visit. So I imagine he'll probably be speaking in Parliament. I can't imagine Donald Trump will, and if he does, oh my Gideon, everyone's going to fall asleep. I won't be surprised there'll be an empty space that he'll be speaking, because I don't think anyone will turn up. I would hope not, anyway, because that man is just. He stands against everything that we stand for. And many Americans too, and obviously Canadians. But, anyway, King Charles, he's invited Emmanuel Macron. So that'll be. I feel there's a little bit of, I don't know, a poke in the eye for Donald Trump. I really do. Because Emmanuel Macron comes over as being somebody who's quite strong. He won't have any shit from Donald Trump, will he? Kind of, make sure he shakes his hand and not let go. I'm not let go. Who's going to give in first? It's what it feels like to me. And number 3, I hope you will. Amazing woodworkers from out east. Oh, is it? When you're working with natural materials, not sheet materials, you have to think. You think about wood differently in the sense that you've got to think about how it moves. Sheet materials like plywoods and particle boards and stuff, it's stable, isn't it? Unless it gets wet. Whereas wood, it's fairly stable in its length, but its width is always it's growing and it's shrinking. It's growing, even in season, it's still going to grow or take on moisture, then expel moisture. So there's always a bit of movement. They say about 8% in its width. A seasoned bit of wood, depending on its on the type of wood, obviously. Oak is not going to move as much as softwoods, but it could. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Oh, but potentially oak will be moving with a lot more power, so it can cause a lot of damage if you haven't allowed for the expansion and contraction. Take my word for it. I've been working with wood for a long time now. There we go. Amazing woodwork. Sorry. I'm hitting a thumbs up, please. Big the old like button. What's that? Only just saying hi, so to speak. We are all mad. We are. I'll tell you something. If you do a political channel, you certainly are mad, Joe. My God, it can be very tiring. And with everything going on at the moment, it is exhausting. I am so exhausted. Look at what's going on at the minute, and it's difficult. Mark's biggest fan says, Balmoral was stolen from the Jacobite supporter. Oh, I'm not a fan of royalty, I'll be absolutely honest with you, I'm really not. Yes, King's sausage fingers. Oh dear. The good thing about Canadian visitors here is that you can tell them apart from the USA by their volume and willingness to say sorry. Thanks for that, Mike's biggest fan. Maybe you'll put Trump in the Tower of London. Oh, let's hope. Yeah. Please, put him somewhere where no one will ever see him again. Oh, I don't hate many people. I hate Nigel Farage, I'll be honest with you. And I absolutely detest and hate Donald Trump. Elon Musk, J.D. Vance, the list is getting longer. Absolutely detest these people. I don't think they deserve the air that they breathe. I really don't. Oh, and Jacob Rees-Mogg. Oh, and Ben Habib. Oh my Gideon, list is getting longer, isn't it? Crikey. Ben Hannon. No, Dan Hannon, sorry. Dan Hannon. Andrew Jenkins. Of course, quite a few actually. That list is getting longer. Oh my God, I'm full of hate, I am. I'm absolutely full of hate. Oh dear. Mike. Oh my God. Yeah, Andrew. you talk about Andrew, Prince Andrew. Oh my god, sex offender. Apparently alleged, but you got to say it, and but no, he's clear. He, she's dead now, isn't she? Died. Stormy Daniels, whatever her name was, not Stormy Daniels. I forgot her name. Anyway, the youngster who was a youngster back then, who apparently Prince Andrew was well awarded, yeah, by Epstein. Hello, Andrew Evans. Hope you're well. Scroll down. There we go. I'm just checking to see if I've missed. North of Ireland, blimey. Basically in the EU. There goes my din. What happened? What did Joe say? A politician here described shaking hands with Trump has a slimy experience. Oh. Sweaty and orange. How do you shake his hands anyway? His hands are so tiny. So where is everyone from on here? Well, I'm from Norfolk myself, from Norfolk in the UK. That's East England, that is. And I used to go to Great Yarmouth quite a bit, and now that's all Reform Party. In fact, those Bulgarians who were arrested and put in prison recently because of spying from Great Yarmouth as well. But Great Yarmouth is no longer the same place. I tell you, there's some rough people there. I know I shouldn't say that, but there is. I mean, really rough people. I feel sorry for the refugees. I really do. They're some of the worst people there. Whereas places like Great Yarmouth, you talk about top end of Great Yarmouth, it used to be very posh. Really posh. And like Cromer and places like that used to be really posh. Cabell Road and it's just. I mean, it's taken a turn for the worst. It really has. I don't know what's wrong with people. I don't know how some people just don't get any education whatsoever, and it's like they're happy about it. I